For those of us joining us today, we have quite a few people joining pretty quickly here. So we're going to give everyone a moment or two to get signed in and settled, and then we'll get started. Are you guys on spring break now?
We were, and then school started back up on Wednesday.
You had early spring break. Oh.
It was only for like 2 days. So.
Nope, that's not a spring break. Okay. I guess when you can't really travel and do things, it's not a spring break anyhow. All right, we'll give everyone another 30 seconds or so here to get signed in, and then we'll get started. Still a couple people joining us, so we'll give them another moment here. Okay, it is 11:02, so we'll go ahead and get started, and we might have a few more people joining us here. Welcome, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Marla Gordon. I'm the Director of Clinical Services here at Kendal at Home. Please make sure that you have your volume adjusted accordingly today so that you can be certain to hear the students and their performance. You can choose to click speaker view by clicking in the top right corner of your screen and putting it in speaker, and then you'll be able to see everyone a little bigger on your screen as they go through their introductions before their performance this morning. We are very happy that Kendal at Home has established a relationship with the Oberlin Conservatory of Music, and they are here joining us for a second group performance. And today we have the Philo Quartet with us, or 3 of the 4 members of the Philo Quartet with us. Who are going to share some wonderful pieces from composers that are very well known over time. So they are each going to take a moment to introduce themselves and talk about the pieces they're going to share. I'm going to start with Dana, and I'll go ahead and turn that over to you. But welcome you all this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this. Well, here in Oberlin, it's a sort of windy, rainy Friday morning. My name is Dana Jessen. I am the Director of Professional Development in the Conservatory and also an Associate Professor of Contemporary Music and Improvisation. I am really delighted to be part of this partnership with Kendal at Home. Some of you may have joined us for our last session in January where we had the Sonny Rollins Ensemble presenting some of their work for you. And we're really grateful for the opportunity for our students to share some of their work and engage some of their music with all of you. And with that, I want to turn it over to our students, the main spotlight for today's event, the Philo Quartet, which is a fantastic classical string quartet here at Oberlin, who has graciously made some really beautiful recordings to share with you all this morning. So with that, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, Dana. Hello and good morning. We're thrilled to be here. It's an honor to do something for communities, especially since during the time of COVID, it's been hard to have these outreach performance opportunities. So we're super thankful to be here. Yes, as Marla said, we are missing one of our members today. Jasper DeBoer, our violist, he has a class, so he cannot make it, unfortunately. But we'll start with introductions. I'm Matt Cohn. I'm a second year student playing violin, studying with Sibby Bernhardsen. I've been playing since I was 5 or 6 years old, and I'm from Buffalo, New York.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. My name is Makaela Foerderer, and I'm also a second year, and I also study with Sibby Bernhardsen. And I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I've been playing since I was 9, so about 10 years.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm also thrilled to be here, just like my colleagues. And my name is Nathaniel. I'm the cellist in the group. I'm a first year here, and I hail from Boston, or Somerville, which is right near Boston, MA. And I've been playing since I was about 5 or 6 as well, so similar to Matt. Yeah, we're looking forward to presenting everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so the quartet is one of, I think I can speak for all of us when I say it's one of our favorite like instrumentations and kind of ensembles to play in through music because it has the like personality and intimacy of more solo playing where you can really like connect with your audience and provide something that you are like proud of yourself doing the work for, and also has the communication of large orchestras where you feel like you're working with a bunch of people to achieve something greater than the sum of your parts. It's a perfect balance where you get to have both of those benefits of playing. The string quartet that we're in consists of the instrumentation has two violins, a viola, and a cello, and over time it's been found that this balance of instruments really has the most opportunity for a variety of different sounds and ranges and like textures to the playing. So it's really a unique instrumentation and something that we're thankful to be doing. Our quartet, we actually were formed last fall semester, where Makaela and I were trying to find a quartet that was more serious and like had the drive to do performances and competitions and learn cool, difficult rep. And we got everybody together and we've had a great year so far. I think there are lots of different kinds of music genres and stuff. I think us personally, we enjoy playing more modern in the sense of 20th century compositions. Like the earliest we've played is the Ravel, which you will be hearing later. But the other piece is Britten String Quartet Number 2, which was composed in 1945, I'm pretty sure, or 46, one of those. So we like to kind of go beyond the typical romantic era Beethoven to go to the more, and it's not more exciting, but has sometimes more variety and more potential for interesting communications. So I think all of us really enjoy playing in quartets, and there are always different reasons. Like, and I think we could share all of those reasons that we like playing in quartets. Like, for example, I really enjoy playing in quartet because you're able to communicate with people and have those connections when you're playing with somebody, you're playing against somebody, and it really has an interesting dynamic that I appreciate in rehearsals and performances.
Yeah, I really like playing in quartet because like when you're in orchestra, there's someone that's kind of running the rehearsal for you. You have like the conductor, but when you're in your quartet, it's just like the four of you that are running the rehearsal, so you get to add a lot more like input and kind of choose your own musical ideas rather than like have someone else choose them for you. So it gives you like a lot more independence, and I think it just really helps like further your musical skills because you get to make a lot more decisions.
Yeah, there's something for me very special about just the instrumentation and the balance of the lower instruments include the viola and cello, and then there are two violins. Um, and there's no piano in a string quartet, for example. I would say that that can make things sometimes very difficult. Intonation is very difficult, ensemble and balance can be really difficult, and but those challenges, so it's not something that can be put together overnight necessarily, but it's those challenges often reap a lot of really special rewards as well, you know. So and of course all the things that Matt and Michaela mentioned, you can play into each other's sound and also have the sort of soloistic um, engagement of every part of the process while having that community as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have similar experiences with enjoyment for quartet. So we're going to start getting into the performances. Our first piece that we're going to be playing for you is the first movement of Benjamin Britten's String Quartet Number 2, and Nathaniel is going to describe things that you can listen for when we're playing the recording.
Yeah, so this movement, the first movement of the second quartet by Britten, it's very special in that it has, well, basically three major themes that are introduced, and at the beginning of the piece you'll hear this interval of a tenth, which is basically, an octave and a bit more than an octave, basically. So, and so obviously an octave is quite a distance, and then more than that would be even further of a stretch musically and emotionally. So it's already sort of showing a range with each introduction of each theme. And then the themes, something you can hear in there's this mysterious quality, and there's a searching nature that is very characteristic, at least of this movement. Throughout the piece, you can kind of almost hear that it's searching for something that it never necessarily finds, but it does feel a lot of different ways about this search, you could say. One of the things we found really interesting is that certain sections, there's a section sort of towards the middle of the piece, or multiple, that blur the line of sort of what clarity and what sort of elements of melody really sound like and are, in the sense of when you're listening, you're not exactly always sure where it's going to be, or it gets passed off in such a interesting way that it's not necessarily listening to one instrument, but the picture can only become clear sometimes when you put all these pieces together, and it's quite a unique uh, it production when you kind of see the big picture of um, these uh, these lines are just kind of intertangled and interdependent in some ways. Um, there's a lot of passing off. We'll have these melodies that will go through the instrument, sometimes in different orders, and and as the movement progresses, as these themes are developed and explored, and Britten finds a way to sort of stir up this tension that eventually results in this um, kind of explosion of all three themes kind of chaotically at the same time being played, and they're kind of fighting each other towards the end of the piece, and it's really this it's this kind of um, it doesn't necessarily, and then so after this large event, which you can listen for, it's towards the end of the movement. um I the what then happens is it sort of settles into still searching quality, and then as the movement finishes, it sort of eases up into a um it it never necessarily finds it, but it sort of closes the 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 search in sort of a very sudden way. It's almost like the it just suddenly disappears into nothing, and then it's finished. So it's a very interesting adventure for sure. And we really enjoyed working on it a lot. So hope you enjoy as well.
Thank you. And before I share the video, I should have also mentioned if anyone has any questions or any comments at all, please feel free to use the chat function in your window, and we'll make sure that we answer your question if there are any. But for now, I will share the video of the Britten Quartet. Bravo, bravo, beautiful. That was so gorgeous. And Nathaniel, I completely understand what you mean about it. The music really just taking you on these different journeys throughout throughout that movement. There were moments of really intense energy in there, and then also moments of these like really, towards the end, those sort of really fragile gestures that really like kind of draw the listener in a beautiful way. So really gorgeous performance. It's also I found myself watching it thinking, this is, you could listen to this on an audio CD, or you could listen to this on your headphones or whatever, but there's just such a completely different experience when you're actually watching it. Having to experience your communication within the ensemble, watching you give each other cues, watching you move together, that really elevates the experience to be completely different than if I were to have just listened to an audio version of that. So what a treat. Yeah, a really gorgeous, gorgeous performance. So I will pass it over to you now to talk a little bit about the next piece.
Is going to be very present in the Ravel, because we have three movements of this piece, and one of the main parts that is present in each movement is like, it's almost like a sense of teamwork. There's always if you're doing something, there's a 95% chance that somebody else is either doing it with you or doing it as like a mirror to you, like having a conversation. That can be seen in the first movement of the Ravel, like right near the beginning, where Makaela and I are transferring off the melody between each other, and if you listen to the higher line, it just sounds like one violin playing the melody, when in reality it's us passing it between each other. That also happens a lot in the second movement, with like you are always having a buddy in whatever theme you're doing, and especially in the fifth movement, or the fourth movement, where the constant feel of five is present and you're always playing it with someone. Going back to the first movement, or the whole piece rather, Ravel was one of the most well-known impressionistic composers. Or this is around the same time as Monet, painters like that. And if you think of impressionistic paintings, I don't know how they do it, but Ravel and Debussy, those kind of composers, manage to imitate looking at a Monet painting perfectly. They do it through use of texture with like more like fuzzy cloud-like playing, where it's leaning towards more creating an atmosphere and sound rather than these like harmonies that work together in the standard form of classical music. And you'll hear that again in the buddies that I was talking about, where there are a lot of groups of like super chromatic 16th notes that sometimes the inside voices are playing together, and that adds the beautiful melody on top, giving, which is really interesting and something you can listen for at all times, because there's rarely a time when some like 16th notes or those chromatics aren't happening. In the second movement, Ravel takes this like dissonance and texture idea and makes rhythmic dissonance out of it. In the beginning, the time signatures are different for people starting. Like for me, I have the main pizzicato melody, and I'm in 3/4, while Makaela and Jasper are in 6/8. So I'm pitzing like in quarter notes while they're doing it in 3, and they like, in theory, they're so different, but when you put them together, it creates this really interesting flow that is harder to emulate when everybody's in the same time. The second movement also is sectioned off into like 3 different parts. The first part is super like like Ravel made the pizzicato the main source of sound as opposed to using normal bows. So it's really a contrast from the first movement. And then in the middle section, he pretty much does the exact opposite of forte pizzicato, where he has us put on mutes and play like pianissimo the entire time. And that leads into that compares to the first movement's fuzziness, where it's like, sounds like the clouds and a more atmospheric feel. And then right going into the last section, which is just a recap of the first section, Nathaniel, the cellist, you'll hear in the slow section, he slowly brings back the pizzicato theme from the beginning while other people are still playing the middle section theme. And then he starts to take over, and it's this massive build-up until when the pizzicato theme comes back, and that's my personal favorite part. That build-up in you'll see us go like bum, 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 bum the entire time, and it's really a lot of fun. And then in the fourth movement, Ravel takes this atypical rhythmic feel, because the main melody of the last movement is in 5/8. So whereas in a normal piece you like think of it as like 1, 2, 3, 4, the feel of this movement is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and it goes fast enough where you can hear that 5 dissonance that you're not used to, and also think of it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can hear the longer phrase as well, which I find really interesting. And going back to the first movement thing, there is the 16th notes at all times, and it's really a great ending to one of the greatest quartets of all time. So just make sure you try to like notice those dissonances or those like melodies with the 16th notes underneath, and I think you will really enjoy the performance.
All right, and I will share it right now. Bravo.
Know that we
That's
are all standing ovation for all standing ovation for all of you at the moment, but it's hard to do virtually. So beautiful with beautiful pieces and such talent from all of you.
so just to clarify for everybody, if especially for people who may have joined later, so your quartet has only been together since this past fall, as in like 7 months ago. That's
Wow,
phenomenal. That's incredible.
amazing.
And can you give us a sense of how often you get together to rehearse, or like in a given week, how often do you get together and practice?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, before that, we started in fall, and Ravel was the first piece we played together. And that performance of the first movement in the gym was our first performance as a quartet together. So it's we've yeah, it's we haven't been together for a very long time, but we try to rehearse 5, 6, or 7 hours a week. That sometimes doesn't happen just because school is insanely busy, and sometimes things come up or we have homework to do or studio classes to practice for. But we always aim for around there because that's usually like having like 3-ish 2-hour rehearsals a week is usually what is expected of like a higher level quartet in college program, because you always want to do as many hours as possible. But if we did any more than that, it would be we would have no free time to practice. So
It's just amazing. And the energy and passion of the music itself, but your body motions and enthusiasm just makes you feel every ounce of every note. So it's amazing. Wonderful job.
It's definitely the best gym music that I've ever heard. So I think that could be a new thing, everybody.
Well, we all look forward to being able to come back in person and hopefully be able to witness concerts in person. Are there opportunities either with your quartet or other groups at Oberlin to be able to enjoy your music in person, perhaps in parks or things this summer, or virtually things that you have available on the website?
well, there are not many live performances at all. There are some external things that some students are doing here. Like one of our friends has this concert series at the local church at Oberlin where like he gets groups together to play like live music thing. But we are actually planning the second movement of the Britten Quartet in a master class with the Verona Quartet next Saturday, and that will be live streamed. So, and through Oberlin on their website or whatever. So that's a virtual thing you can hear us at. And then at the end of each semester, the chamber music program has a concert series called Chamberfest, where every single group performs about like 10-ish minutes of repertoire that they've learned over the semester in like a marathon style concert, but it's chamber music opportunities they have. So
Excellent. Getting lots of positive comments coming through on the chat too, just thanking you, and wonderful music. Hope to have future concerts online or in person. Applause. Thank you for sharing your talents. So um, if you have any questions for the students, if you'd like to type them into the chat box or the Q&A, feel free to go ahead and do that. Certainly, as students of music in particular, having to pivot during COVID, I'm sure put challenges, and for only being together 7 months and still being able to perform at this level and meeting those challenges is huge for sure. So it's always fun to watch you all watch yourselves perform too, just on our end, watching your expressions and faces while you watch yourselves perform. And I'm sure you're your own biggest critics for sure, but it's fun to watch.
yeah, there are definitely a couple times in those recordings that I'm like, oh boy, okay, that was out of tune. But for the most part, it's enjoyable to listen back to like to see where you were at that point of time, because we played the three movements of Ravel over the entirety of last semester, so about like one a month. So it's interesting to see like how we developed as a group throughout that time.
Very nice. don't see any particular questions coming through, but we will definitely make sure that we have the contact information that we can distribute to everyone and how they can catch your performances virtually and hopefully in person in the near future. And we look forward to this ongoing relationship with Oberlin's Conservatory of Music, being able to display all of your talent. So thank you so much for your time today.
Of course, thank you, and we're happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll get back to school. Thanks. We'll see you later. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you.